What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Man Card Podcast, episode, what is this, 5?
Fiver.
Wow. Shit. So,
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5.
we just got back from a road trip. Where did we go?
Went to the Goats out in Pittsburgh.
Who's that?
The man, the myth, the legend, which I said on Instagram, Seth Feroce.
Yep. So, we went out to Seth's place, had an awesome podcast that'll be releasing soon. So, we just wanted to do kind of a recap episode, talk about the trip. I think.
No, it would have already been released by now.
Yeah, it'll be released by now.
Either way.
Wait.
So, for those listening to this, it will have already been released, but at the current time, it's going to be releasing soon.
Okay. No. No.
What's that movie where the world's upside down and shit with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Inception.
Yeah. Right now, that's where people are.
Jess, we got it.
Listening.
We're good.
Yeah.
No, this is great. This is perfect. Okay, so we just got back from a road trip, and we wanted to recap that. And
Dude, it was actually freaking awesome. Not only just going, but like it was like the first road trip as a group for this podcast too. So like driving out, Snoot sleeping in the car the whole time. You know, a hotel,
we were 12
eating like
hours
shit
in a truck out of a 36-hour trip.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I know, dude. Did you guys get back and you're like, I feel like I was gone for a fucking week.
Yeah,
I literally was like, holy shit. It was like 36 hours.
it's a lot of travel. And then I was on a fucking plane coming here, so it's just ready to calm down a little bit. But anyway, so we had an awesome convo with Seth. By this point, people would have, are you okay?
She's still not recovered. When Jess loses sleep, she gets delirious.
During Jess's episode, I was delirious and unable to speak for 20 minutes. We were just going to recap the trip. So I think it went well. I think it was a good conversation. I learned a lot about him that I didn't even know prior to coming. And his operation was awesome. Like the whole setup of the facility and everything was badass.
Yeah, I think like kind of like Jess said in her post too, in her caption, like some of the stuff, I listen to him all the time. Having him say it in front of you in person and hearing things come from someone else's mouth really resonates a little bit different, because even him talking about, I don't have more problems, just more work to do. Right? It remotivates you. It hits a little different, and seeing him say it in front of you, when you see people say it on social media, you just think they're saying it from this mountaintop that they were born on.
Right.
Whereas he like built all of that shit. You know, everything in there, like you were talking about his operation, all the guys there, they started from nothing too. You know, and kind of getting to see the back, you know, behind the scenes of it was fucking awesome experience. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of those people you see on Instagram, you're just like, they just have it. They didn't, you know, you don't see what actually went into getting to where they're at.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, it's like anything. It's like when we even talked about my story, people just assume that I fucking exist like this from day one and did whatever, you know, just, you know, without like any hard work. And it's like, people always make that assumption about people. And to talk to Seth about, you know, where he started and what he has now, and it was really inspiring. And you know, he's a relatable guy to many of us. You know, I think he would probably agree, like, you know, he's just a regular guy that works his ass off. And I think it's great to see what's possible. You know?
And what he puts on Instagram is really him. Like usually you talk about doing this man shit, saying all these vulgar things, and you're like, oh, well, you know, Jess is in the room. There's a female in the room. He's not going to say that shit. Then he's talking about spitting on it to get it in and shit like that.
Yeah,
you know, he didn't give a shit.
Splitting wood and
and
eating pussy.
Yeah.
He was saying it backwards.
Eating wood and splitting pussy.
The best part is like, I've never once thought about having a dick in my mouth. And that's fine if that's your thing, you know, but you're not straight then. He's talking about that stuff because he puts that all out there. And a lot of people put on a front or a persona that they are a different way on Instagram, and you get them in a room and they're not. And I think it was pretty cool to see that too. And that dude's got to be busy as shit. He
took the whole fucking day.
And he would have stayed later. Yeah. And he wasn't like on his phone doing things that, like, literally when we said we were going for the day, he made us his number one priority for the day. And it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And the biggest part about the trip, I got the follow.
You did get the follow. And got the
It's
follow
whatever.
first.
No, he didn't. Mine was
time
first.
checked?
Yeah.
Yeah, they checked.
Mine was 5 minutes. His was 3.
For those listening, he's talking about getting followed back on Instagram from Seth, which was basically his whole goal for the whole trip.
That's the only reason we went.
And that happened on the drive back, like the final stretch. She's like, I got the follow.
Bro, like, he tagged Mancard in a story. These next 5 minutes are crucial because he's on social
He's
media
online right now. But no, Seth, if you're listening, man, we appreciate you. Thank you for everything, for your hospitality and taking the time to talk to us. You know, I really enjoyed talking about, you know, the fatherhood aspect and all of that with him, and, you know, sort of asking him, like, because he's got an older kid. You know, I'm coming up on dealing with a lot of that shit. I'm like, how do you deal with them seeing you lose your shit or be less than perfect, or, you know, etc. So it was really insightful to talk about that stuff with him. And yeah, it's just cool to learn from someone who's kind of a little bit ahead in some ways, you know, on the journey.
And seeing that too, because when you're going through and you're meeting all these different people and you're talking to them, you kind of pick up on different things that you have in common with each person, and you kind of can go down that rabbit hole. And I think that's the kind of the cool part about bringing on different guests, is that you find different things that you hit on. Like, it just happened to be that all three of us have daughters, right? I'm a brand new father, you know, and he's ahead of you, you know, in time on that standpoint. But, and then you're picking up on, like, when I left, I was like, well, I guess I found out how intrigued by the human mind I actually am.
Yeah.
So there was like 5 different times I was like, I always think about this shit. He's like, me too.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to sit down with Seth Feroce and go into a conversation about nature versus nurture, but
No.
it was really insightful and cool to talk about. And
But I think that's also what's cool about going and doing these things and meeting these different people, is the fact that, especially now in society, even just sitting in the room and listening to it and listening to him talk, and then what comes out of you guys, before you guys even technically started talking, you were talking about you sleepwalking. I never know you fucking sleepwalk and all that crazy ass shit that you do.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
she just comes in the room. She's like, you guys better be recording right now.
I was just like, what
I know
the
she came in
fuck?
hot. Those are the best ones too, because you know
Right.
the camera's not on.
Right,
Yeah.
but also with it, like, sitting there and you have not like a plan in your mind because you just want to sit there and have a natural conversation, but like you guys said, there's so many things that people think about or thought processes, but everyone suppresses it because they think that, like, it's weird to think about, or you want to keep something to yourself. But if everybody just spoke about, like, everything that they think about, like, anytime you guys ask me, like, oh, just, like, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? And my thought process goes from, like, one thought all the way to an opposite direction, back around again. And, like, the mind is so crazy, but we suppress everything that goes on in our mind. But if we just spoke about it, we would connect so much more. But everybody hides everything or whatever. So going and talking and listening to somebody like him speak and just be so bluntly honest all the time about shit that, like, being a dad, like, who else would just sit there and, like, admit that you've freaked the fuck out in front of your daughter and like all this shit? And, like, a lot of people will try to hide that, like, no, I was never like that in front of my daughter. I'm a great example for my daughter. And, like, he is a great example because I was getting hyped up when he was talking about Adeline being such a fucking badass. I'm like, good for fucking her. And then how he says, like, Emmy's gonna be a little more, like, softer, and it's because it's a different part of him. It's a really cool thing to hear people speak about that aspect, that, like, it's okay to raise a daughter tough. It's okay to raise a daughter soft. It's however you are. But just listening to him be so raw about it was very refreshing, because so many people hide certain aspects because they want to seem like the prim and proper, like, upscale, like, dad, or like, I never do anything wrong, or I never raise my voice in front of my daughters, whatever. It's all right to raise your voice to your kids, and that's, like, what's going to keep them being good people. We can't keep raising.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
it's
know,
like
but-
it's like what you said, and I fully relate, and I've had those moments too, like when she was crying the other night and you're just like, what do you want from me? Like, every dad has been there. Every parent has been there, and every parent loses their shit. Like Jess was talking about, like he talked about, and, like, it was cool. Like she was saying, to have him be so candid, but also to be who he is and as successful as he is. And he does the same shit. You know, he loses his shit. You know, he was roided out and lost his mind, you know, and he's fully transparent about that. And I think that, like Jess said, it is better and makes us more connected as humans, because if you're sitting there right now hearing this and you're like, oh, I would never do that. I've never done anything. Like, you're so full of fucking shit, because that's being a human.
That's actually a big thing that I took away from that trip. I just spit everywhere. And, you know, just sitting down with him is something I actually want to practice more of. You know, and obviously there's a double-edged sword with how you're building the image of your businesses, but just being more real and being more truthful about, like, I don't even want to say personal stuff, but letting people see those other sides of you. So then when they do get to know you, it's not like, they always say don't meet your heroes, don't meet your idols, right? Because they're never who they actually portray themselves to be. I don't think that I'm anyone's hero or idol, but I never want someone to meet me and be like, you're a completely different person than you are on social media.
Yeah.
I want people to be like, I know when I'm going to sit down with him at a table, how he is from, and like you knew how he would be when you sat down. I think he's built his company like that. And we always talk about, like, I think Frizella, same fucking thing.
I was going to say, Andy talks about that a lot. And he, as someone who has had conversations in person with him, when nobody's around, like he's not trying to be fucking anything, he's the exact same fucking person. And he did an episode on, I think it was MFCEO before they stopped that one, where he talked about, like, he knows other successful CEOs and shit who are afraid to, like, have a beer while they're out, or, like, get a little buzz when they're hanging out with the guys in public and all this shit. And he's like, but the problem with that is, like, then you've got to always pretend. He's like, I'm just fucking me. And yeah, I'll get drunk at the Christmas party or do this or do that. And it's like, then, you don't have that happen where someone meets their hero and they're let down. It's like, they know who I am, and with Seth, like you said, he was exactly the same. I would say, like, maybe even more so. Like, I was like, about how accommodating he was and how willing to just kick it with us he was all day.
That's also what I wanted to say, like, with the daughter pieces and raising his daughters differently, but also him himself, like you said, we expected him to be very, like, brazen and blunt, and, like, whatever came out of his mouth came out of his mouth. And a lot of it, like, for us, because that's kind of our personalities, was, like, humorous, and other people might be offended, but who the fuck cares? But at the same time, like, he's a super respectful dude.
Yeah.
And regardless of, again, how he said his first daughter might be a little more rough around the edges because that was him during that point of his life, but he still drove into her respect and manners and being a good person.
Yeah.
You could be tough and you could be rough around the edges, but still have manners, still be respectful. And I think that's a major difference that people kind of lapse on, is if you're a type of way and you're raising a kid, like, yeah, they could be you. They could be brazen and blunt, but you don't want to raise a shithead of a kid either. So I think it's really cool that as soon as we met him there, shook everybody's hands.
Before he even went inside, he came over to the car.
Yeah, everybody, like, do you need anything like that? Very, like, accommodating and hospitable, but at the same time, he's still who he is. So I think that's an awesome balance that you have, like, as a businessman, like, being blunt and relatable and honest like he is, but at the same time driving respect and manners and hard work into people.
Yeah, it's such a good point, because there are, like you said, brands like that are different. There's not a ton of AARs. There's not a ton of First Forms. There's not, there's these ones that, Polo just released. I don't know if you guys follow golf. He missed a putt and he uttered a homophobic slur. Like, any of us do all the time when something happens, and they just release them. Like, I think that those you're painting a false image of reality, thinking that no one's going to do that.
Especially these days, everybody plays the woke game and all
That's
that
what
bullshit.
I'm saying. And it's like him staying true and these other companies doing that. It's refreshing to see that you can be successful just being true who you are and sticking to your guns.
Well, I got to tell you, like, going back to that, how accommodating and nice and respectful he was. Like, when he met us out in the parking lot and all that stuff, and I found myself, like, several times being like, this is crazy. Like, who the fuck are we? Like, why is he being so not, but then you realize, oh, that's who he is, and it's I just think it's a good, like, example, for others to follow.
Very simple thing for me, but like this, like the phone thing,
while you're in
showed
the
me
presence
so
of other
much
people.
of him, like on a much lower scale, like, and we all do. We all know how busy we are, how many different meetings, phone call, whatever. And you know how hard it can be when people come to your facility and from 9 to 3, you can't do anything. That dude did not check his phone, did not check emails. And he even said, he's like, I live in the present. Like, I don't take pictures with my family, everything I try to do is to live in the moment. And that's fucking true, because he didn't look at his shit. Someone called him and he was like, shit, sorry. And put his phone down. Like, and that to me is something that I know I need to do better at, but you can see, I think, how genuine good of a per person he is, and I think it's a such a small trait that's a really good one, to try to like work into what we do, because you get caught up in shit that doesn't really matter, and not enjoy the present time and the people you're with, and respect.
Yeah.
Like, you're respecting people's time.
I think that also came from the fact that like he is such a good businessman at this point, and he was saying how like once he was done, not like done with like bodybuilding and stuff, but like competing in that aspect, and like he's constantly trying to grow and constantly trying to be like going, and now business is his thing that gets him going. So he's found this kind of how his business works, and like he said, staying in a lane. So when he knows that all the other branches are working how they're supposed to be working, it allows him to be on top of whatever his lane is. So if he knows that his lane's in order, and it's easy for him, not easy for him, but he can say, okay, like everything that needs to be done this day is for these guys coming out. And that's why I feel like he can have that phone to the side, because he knows that all the other branches and all the cylinders are working properly. So he can have that day to kind of take for you guys to be there with him, and kind of have point. That. So I think that was a huge thing for even for our business to.
You said it this morning.
Yeah.
When did that become my lane? You know, like stay in your fucking lane.
I got a new fucking lane.
Jess gets a new lane.
Jess crosses over all the lanes constantly.
Yeah.
It's just because she just fucking yells at everybody all the time.
I think that's just my lane.
Yeah, that is your lane. We'll
I
make
got
the
the
fucking
highway.
new one.
I'm the highway.
Yeah, the highway woman.
Yeah, just the fucking scream.
But yeah, no, it was an overall great experience. I mean, obviously, folks would have listened to the podcast by now. That was Tut spitting, by the way. And you know, it's
in a cup.
Did you guys see? Did you guys see my Instagram story?
No,
the thing I put up 9 years ago. It's like quitting dippings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a Facebook memory.
Yeah, that fucking.
That's going well.
I probably have like 15 of those out. Sorry to go off subject,
No.
but I was probably really proud of myself at the time. It was probably like 6 days.
So you've been dipping that long?
Yeah, I've been dipping since I was 14. I was in 8th grade. Had my first shoe, Skull Mint, and just never stopped. When I started golfing, I told myself when I was done playing college baseball, I'd quit. And when I was done coaching college baseball, I'd quit. And then I was done coaching strength and conditioning, I'd quit.
You should have said when you were done golfing, you would have quit.
Yeah, I tried. I have Rick talks about it. I don't know. I do like to do a lot of things. I'm like Seth in the aspect of everything that I do, I either do it like 150% or I'm just not going to do it at all. Yeah. So if I'm going to chew or have a nicotine addiction, I'm going to have it with 5 different things. I'm going to dip. I'm going to smoke cigs. I'm going to smoke fucking Juuls. I'm going to have a beer. I'm going to have 30, you know. If I'm going to run anything, I'm going to run the best thing that I possibly can, you know. So it's either, or I'm just not going to do it at all. So there's no like moderation. That's what he talks about too. It's like passionate about fucking everything.
Yep.
And Jeremy actually calls it, we always call it like, it's kind of cliche, but he's like, it's the large lifestyle. It's like, if you're going to Dunkin', you're never going to get a fucking medium. You get the biggest one they have. If you're going to get an energy drink, you're getting a fucking, the most caffeinated one that they fucking have. There's no, you know, I'll get a medium fucking decaf coffee. Give me every fucking piece of caffeine that they have.
All the pieces.
All the
pieces.
So do you think you have an addictive personality, or do you think you just go all out on what you do, and sometimes those things can be addictive?
I don't think I have an addictive personality. I think if I just like something, if I like it, I'm going to do it because I've tried everything pretty much once.
Yeah.
And
like a dick in your mouth.
Yeah. And I stopped after that. No.
Brandon's head just shot up.
Brandon heard dick in the mouth.
It was Brandon's. No.
He's like, I told you not to tell me.
I've tried everything, pretty much everything one time.
Yeah.
And if I know it's something I shouldn't do, I won't do it once. I don't, you know, I can go do stuff recreationally.
Yeah.
I definitely have a nicotine addiction. I'm not denying that 100%.
Yeah. Well, because I always struggle with that because I know I come from 2 drug addicts and I know that I have an addictive personality. Like if it carries into everything. I get obsessed with fucking everything I do. And so I always try to like throttle that, which is why even in the car, like I held off on smoking or vaping with you or whatever on the drive until when I fucking started, then it was like,
dude, I thought you were sleeping. I looked over, I saw your head back, and I'm confident you were sleeping, and it was like,
yeah, dude. And that's, and
just
so
would wake up, take a couple puffs, and go back to sleep.
And so like I have to like ride that line between I love going all out on everything, but I know I get addicted to shit and I get obsessed with shit too. and it helped me a lot in fucking school and business and stuff. But like when you start playing around with like, you know, the puff bars and fucking steroids and all the different caffeine and all the different shit, for me personally, I have to be really aware of that, because you know I can't just like have a energy drink and then be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna have 3 energy drinks.
I don't know what I would call it. My brother's the same way. I think he might have a little bit more of an addictive personality, but it's like if you like something, it's like an emotional obsession for a short period of time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, and then if I need to stop something, you know, like I have no problem doing, if I was doing dry January, having no beers, but I can also sit down and, you know, have a shit ton.
Right.
Do it a couple days in a row and then stop. I think it kind of goes into the passion type shit. Like if I'm gonna drink beers, I want to be able to drink the most beers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm gonna pack lips with you, I want to be able to pack the biggest lips. I don't know, it's like a passion competitive type thing.
Yeah.
But
What about you, Jess?
I've
you drink caffeine
She's
like
Yeah.
insane amounts.
Yeah, I drink caffeine's about the only thing. I've never done any drugs. I've never done anything like that.
No, I mean, but like addictive personality. I mean,
I don't think that I have an addictive personality. I think that like my thought process through this whole thing of what you guys were just talking about is kind of just if I'm addicted to anything, it's just I'm not going to say that it's working, but I just need to be busy all the time.
feeling productive, being busy.
Oh,
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
And
if you're not doing that, you're asleep.
People ask me, yeah, that's the thing. I go
She is 0 to 100.
I go and I think I have like a sleeping beauty syndrome or something like that, where I can just be a fucking sleep anywhere. And I think it's because every second of the day I'm doing something. And like we just said, that my entire lane is the highway. It's because whenever I'm doing something, it needs to be done correctly. And even if it's going to take me like later hours into the night to finish it, like it's going to be done. Even if it's a team thing, and like that's not one of my issues, but like dipping into all of
Yeah.
the
Well, it can be an
guys'
issue if you have a
categories.
team that
Yeah.
leans on you for that.
Right, but my thing is that like if I need it done, I need it done. And even if it's like, oh well, maybe we can finish tomorrow, I'm like, no, but tomorrow isn't a next step to it, so I'd rather it be done now. So I think that my addictive part to me is just being productive and
Yeah.
working.
You're like an
Well, and
anti-procrastinator.
it seems like you like to find more things to do too, and like you thrive more the busier you get. 'Cause like my brother was saying last night, I was on the phone with him. He's back in Austin now, and he's like, dude, honestly, when we started in Windy Sleeves in April and he became an owner or whatever, he's like, I never realized how much shit that you guys always had to do every day with it.
Yeah.
He's like, you kind of just go on the weekly call. If you're supposed to put together an email list or make a video, you do it, or you didn't do it, you have to give why. He's like, I never fucking realized it. Probably same thing with you when you came on. You're like, I realize how much bullshit you guys had to go through to get fucking shirts or whatever. And it's
Well,
now
that's
that
its
you're
own-
at, yeah,
that's
its
its
own
Don't get her.
fucking
Please don't
topic.
get her started.
And once you're getting it going more, it's like now you're finding more things to do. Now you want to make it
Yeah.
better. Now you want to
Well-
add on this, and now you want to keep fucking snowballing into just.
Exactly. Yeah. And look, if you're out there listening right now and you're working a job and you think that starting or running your own business is going to be cool because it'll be less hours or a better schedule or any.
Or
it's
you
not.
can come and go as you please because it's your
No,
business.
absolutely
it's not
not.
a fucking thing.
Get that out of your fucking head and be ready to work twice as much.
Well,
But
dude, and that's
the upside is you can do what you love and it won't feel as much like work if you truly love it.
listen to something important I said yesterday, and he's like, since I started Barstool, and he's like, I'm very fortunate. He's like, I don't give a fuck if it's Wednesday or Saturday. He goes, I don't care because I usually do the same things on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
If I want to take off a month and go to Florida, I will at this point. But he's like, to me, finding something that you love to do, you'll never feel like work. Super cliche, but I think that's a
Well,
really
it's
good thing.
true.
It's the same
Yeah.
thing with here. Like
Yeah.
we'll be in here on a Saturday at 4. Doesn't matter. It could be Wednesday at 10.
Yeah, people ask me when my day off is. I'm like, I don't actually have a day off. If I want to take a day off, I will schedule people out of it, but I'm still going to end up doing something because, again, that productivity thing,
Yeah.
I can't have a whole day off to do nothing. Something has to be done. So, like, going on, like, vacation, even Seth was saying, he's like, I haven't been on a vacation. He's like, should I be on a fucking vacation? And then he's like, but I love working.
I was
all this
paying bills
stuff.
and answering emails on my honeymoon.
Yeah.
I would wake up in the morning and get on the phone with Doc, pay bills, and do everything on my computer. Ashley's like, it still has to get done.
But that's another thing that when you guys were talking, he brought up when you had asked him about like the
Yeah, I
work
shouldn't
life.
have asked that fucking question. It didn't look like he liked that one.
The work-life
the
balance.
work-life- But I think it was good to hear because I think a lot of people constantly, because I know for me, like he said, there is no work life balance.
Yeah. And that's what
it's just fucking life.
Granted, like, I don't have kids or like a family or anything like that, but like, you still have a life. You still should be doing things.
Make it a little tougher, but
yeah. I don't know. Like, I just have a fucking niece that I have to go and visit because my sister needs me there.
Well, and think about that, right? And think about how much time that takes for you in that, and it's not yours too.
Right.
And think about how much you love spending time with her.
But I think that, and I said this when we were talking to Seth, like, work-life balance is this mythical thing that we fucking talk about chasing. But again, if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, you need to just forget about that. Like, that's.
But it's not so much like forgetting it. It's just like it's not a work-life balance. It's a work-life mixture. It all has to like coincide, and that's where you have to find that schedule of being on top of things.
And the people that really want a work-life balance, like he said, I think usually the people that fucking hate their job.
Yeah, and it's
it's
like Jess said, a mixture. Like, I think the error is in like thinking about it as two things, like balancing two separate things when they become the same.
When he said that about it just being life, he's like, I fucking work, or then I'm with my family and I'm here, and it's always, and I'm like, there was no really like point to take away of how to make it all work, but something clicked in my head, and it's almost like a mindset of just like, it's just life.
I think it was more or less for you. I know when you asked and he answered it, I feel like it was more like him telling you like you're doing okay with how you're doing it, because I think that's like, look, I'm trying to like console you.
Yes,
right
mother.
now.
Yes, mother.
I think that
it's gonna be okay.
It's something like clicked in you that was like, okay, yeah, like that's what my life is like. Like Ash and Emerson and Stark are at the gym with me while I'm doing this, and I'm constantly working while they're there. I think him saying that kind of calmed you in a way that like, yes, this is okay to have like your life running this way.
Yeah, and I think it's like when you're working, you're being a badass, hardworking motherfucker there. When you're at home, don't worry that you're not here. Fucking rip that lifestyle when you're there with your family. Pay attention to that, and then come over here with them and do this instead of like I find myself at home if I'm with them and I'm like, I should be over there. It's 9 o'clock, but I'm feeding her so she can sleep. Like, I'm missing her. And it's like, you can't do that, because then you're just absent from there mentally. You're not here physically. It's a lose-lose.
We need the lanes.
We need the fucking lanes.
We need the fucking lanes.
The team that we have now has made everything so much easier. And I think you're right. Me asking that was much more it was a selfish thing. I wanted to know how he does it. I think I've asked you that 20 fucking times.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do it with having to bring Carter to daycare every morning and with your work? I'll probably ask you what your work schedule is like 20 times too, just because I'm always curious to see how people do it and make it work.
Yeah, mine's a lot different these days because I had my business that I sold and everything. But I mean, during that time, it was just the same. Like, just go and just get everything done, and like that's my life, you know.
And it's always different too, though. It's not like before I was engaged; it was the same battle. It's just you're trying to figure it out. Oh, I want to spend time with my friends. How am I going to do it? How am I going to make it productive work? Then I got engaged. The same thing with Ashley, and then so it's kind of like everything. It's whenever you're in that moment, it's challenging. So it's no different now than it was with kids. It's just where your priorities lay change. Like you said, having a work-life balance doesn't mean it's only when you have a family. So need to like dominate both those lifestyles before you have it, when you're single. But you have a little more freedom. I told my brothers, you can fucking move anywhere right now.
Yeah.
Move to North Dakota again if you really wanted to.
He lived in North Dakota?
No, but I mean, like, move again.
Yeah.
Like, because you just picked up and went to Texas.
Yeah.
I was like, so whatever the fuck you want to do that makes you happy, go dominate
tells
it
me
out
I'm
there.
not allowed to move, though.
No. I was like, I'm canceling your Microsoft Office
your lane
subscription.
Doesn't go anywhere else.
Literally, he sat down next to me when we set up my
I was about to pay for
MacBook.
her Microsoft Office, the subscription for the year for everything, and I was like, if you ever fucking leave, I'm canceling the subscription. You have to pay for it yourself and leave the fucking computer.
He dead stared at my face and was like, I will cancel this if you think that you can ever leave. I was like, okay.
Locked in. That's what I do.
That's what I do. But yeah, I think it was good to ask that question because you got the response you got, and to an extent, like we said, like it's just this thing that.
Oh, your lip.
No, I spit it out.
Okay.
It's this thing that it's this paradigm that you kind of have when you work for someone else and work a job that maybe you hate, and so you're just counting down the hours to Friday so you can have your weekend and all of that. And I mean, that just goes out the window when you're trying to build a business around something you love, and or even working a job that you love, you know.
Yeah, so it's extra hours. Like, it's easy when you hate your job because as soon as you're done at 5 o'clock, you're not fucking answering an email. You know, there's nothing. There's nothing else that you want to do. So being able, I think it's a really good point. If you think about it, if you're so worried about that, you should probably reevaluate what you're doing for your work.
It's a good place to be where you don't know the day of the week. You know, because you're just living life.
It feels like fucking Monday. Yesterday felt like Sunday because we were.
Oh, I'm all fucked up. I was just asking Olivia, Bruce's sister. I'm like, what the fuck day is it? Because I normally don't see her on Wednesdays. I normally see her on Mondays, but since we were gone, we had to move to today. So the only reason why I know what day it is because that's the day I see clients. But like if I see clients 3 times a week, it could be Friday, and I'm thinking it's Monday. I'm like, oh, Katie's here at 9:30. I'm like, it's Monday. No, it's Friday.
Well, that's what everyone's like, dude, that's so sick. You guys were out there at Pumped On USA, everything on a fucking Monday. Take it out. I'm like, well, that was work.
Yeah, we were just out there.
That was work. That's a work day. You know?
Yeah, and when I did work in corporate America, that was my mind. Even though I enjoyed what I did, but it was still like, it's fucking Friday. Yeah, the weekend's here. Like, that's just the mindset you get into.
That's what I was talking to Beatside about last night. He's like, dude, last 3 days are just kind of 2 days. They're just it's kind of gone, right? Not getting them back. He's down there for the big party release, which is great and all that stuff. But if you do that every weekend, it's like every week you're losing your Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because you go out Thursday night for happy hour, drinking, Friday kind of hungover at work.
There would be no way. I could not do that.
And I told him, I was like, dude, if I lived down there, I would do that shit too. That place is unreal. There's a reason why I don't, and I know I couldn't. Yeah. Because you can't get back those days, and I know I would be out there, you know, and it's a challenging thing, and you can never get back that time.
That's why, like, a lot of people, like, when I was in college, I drank a lot. Like, I fucking, all the drinking games, all the beer Olympics, crushing fucking 30 racks and a bottle with my roommate, and then, fucking bad.
30?
And now I'll just sip on a drink because I cannot be as fucked up as I used to be because I have too much shit that I need done. So it's not that people are like, oh, you don't drink, and they think it's like a fitness thing. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, that's one thing. Like, I don't want to work that hard and then like fuck it up on that. But at the same time, I know now I cannot function for like days.
Hangovers are like 3 fucking days.
Yeah, bad.
It's awful.
Dave hung over trying to do that podcast that day.
Tried to totally fucking sabotage that last episode. None of us could get it together until 20 minutes in.
Hey, story checks out. Fucking
we were all struggling today. We didn't drink when we were out there. We just didn't sleep as much. So we're all like, what's up?
Being in that truck for that many hours, my body is fucking shot.
By the last 2 hours, we just listened to music and no one spoke at all.
I was asleep.
We're like, all right, we all fucking hate each other.
I couldn't wait for Ant to get out of that fucking seat so I could lay down.
Well, today's a big day for the country.
Oh, yeah.
The inauguration is the 20th, so.
You excited?
Yeah. What time are we leaving to head down? I keep seeing so many of my friends and it fucking pisses me off, and I'm just trying to bite my tongue because they're liking all these tweets, retweeting these things about Biden going in, and I'm like, you literally voted for him just because you don't like Trump's personality.
Yeah.
Like, I screenshotted a list of the things that he's doing today right away. It's like, how the fuck? And I'm like, I know your personality. I know what you do for work. I know what your values are. There's no fucking way that you like everything that he's about to do.
Yeah.
You literally just voted for him because you didn't like the way Trump fucking tweeted.
They haven't studied his policies at all, probably. So they don't know what's about to happen. And it sucks because you see now all of these talking heads from the left and Democrats in general, like, talking about, okay, now's the time for unity, this, unity, that, unity. And it's like, you guys didn't want unity for the last 4 years. You know, now that it's your team, now it's time for unity. It's like, but I guess that's how it is every political cycle. And, you know, it just sucks because you see people basically going against everything that they said before.
I wanted to go live for this one.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
For this part, but yeah, no, because like I said, well, now I can openly talk about it because it's done and I won't be judged for it. 'Cause, you know, Joe Biden's our president, and I'm not like the others. Our president's Joe Biden. I'll accept it, right? It is what it is. Like
You're
you
gonna
said,
move on.
people are saying there's
Yeah.
a storm coming. I'm going to have to deal with it. Nothing I do, no matter how much I bitch and say he's not my president, it's not
You
going to
still
change.
got to wake up and live your life.
That's what I'm saying.
You
I
still
may
gotta
violently
fucking-
disagree about it. And like you said, every time he fucks up, I'll be the first one to fucking be like,
Told you
I
so.
told you so.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
we have a business to fucking run regardless.
exactly. And it's frustrating because, like you say, like, what is it? Like suppressing the voice of all these people right now.
Yeah. Censorship.
The censorship. It's fucking bullshit. And all of the stuff that happened, nobody would hear it. It's like everyone's in on it. All that fraud, all that shit. Like nobody would take the time to listen to it.
Yeah. Well, she like it was Siri, right? Like you got a notification about, on her
Siri told me
iPhone.
that it was Inauguration Day for a 6:45 a.m. alarm. I go, if I ever got a fucking 6:45 a.m. alarm set off because my phone decided to tell me it was Inauguration Day this year, I will literally smash my fucking phone.
Yeah.
And it's like but it's so transparently like obvious, right? They're like, that's big tech who's far left, and they're like so stoked about this now. Like they're sending her fucking Siri notifications about the inauguration. You know, it's like you didn't see that for the other guy when he came into office, and it's just like everybody's just so happy, and I fear like exactly what you said, like they're not intimately familiar with his policies. They're not intimately familiar with him as a candidate, you know, because he's ran for president a billion times and gotten, you know, rejected for plagiarism and all this shit back in the 80s where he was ripping off speeches from other people. Like all this shit happened. This is real history. And he's the wholesome candidate for, you know, for morals and change and all of this just because you don't like Trump's personality.
That's what it is, and that's why it's fucking bullshit. And I'll be the first to tell you, I think if he just got off Twitter, he would have. The dude got more votes than any other incumbent ever.
Yeah.
Like by 12 million, right? And you're going to tell me that dude who, like you said, who's ran for president a shit ton of times, beat him? No fucking way, but it is what it is. However, if he just stayed off Twitter and his personality was a little more clean, he would have got more votes and have more. But
I don't know about that, man, because Twitter was the only way he had to communicate with the American people oftentimes because mainstream media outlets wouldn't.
I'm just saying the shit that he said. If he
Yeah.
said it a little more PC, like, because that's
Sure.
what all these people are pulling from it. They're pulling, well, he said this and that's racist, that's sexist. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a fucking fact.
Mm-hmm.
And they're taking that and pulling it. And that's where, like, the big people, or they'll be like, look what he said about this. This makes him racist. Before he was president, he was in fucking every rap song ever. He was
I think
loved
it was like 72.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's people just choosing it based off his personality, not looking at what he's actually done.
Yeah.
And
But no, you're right, man. I mean, to go back to the point you both made, like you still got to wake up and run your business. You still got to wake up and live your life. It all falls on you. And like we talked about with Seth, ultimately it's your fault no matter what. Like what the fuck happens in your life is your fault and it's up to you. And you can't get caught up complaining about the fact that your guy didn't win and use that as an excuse to not get after it and live your best life. And, you know, I'm just, I'm seeing a lot of people being really negative and pessimistic and talking about, oh, we're so fucked and this and that. It's like, I get it. Like I wanted.
But it's also allowing people to use an excuse as to why they're not going
100%.
to succeed. They're like, oh,
Yep.
we're fucked. So just like 2020, like COVID happened, everyone's excuse, like granted it was a forced quarantine and everything like that. So that kind of was a major excuse for everything. But like every year, people are just going to have a new excuse as to
Yep.
why they're not succeeding, why they're not living their life,
Yeah.
why life isn't back to
There's
normal.
people who crushed it in 2020.
Absolutely. My life changed.
I had the best year
Fucking- yeah.
of my life. You know, financially and, like, not from a business standpoint, but personally because of the things that I went and did on the side.
Yeah.
But, like, I say, people are like, Biden, with this tax hike, right, that's coming. All right. I got to wake up. I got to make more money now.
Yeah.
Because I'm going
You
to
just
pay
gotta
taxes.
plan for
All
that.
right. So now I just got to make more money, which means we have to make the business better.
Mhm.
So we can sit there and say, he's not our president. I'm not following it. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Or you can just be like, he is, which he is, and salute the president of the United States always. But
Now let's get to work.
now let's get to work.
Yeah.
There's
It's
there's not more problems, just more work to do.
Yeah. It's like, am I happy about it? Fuck no. Am I going to let it change what I'm trying to do in my life? Fuck no.
Is what
You know?
Dave Hertz, who's sitting in the basement in Saddlebrook, New Jersey, thinking going to change anything in the United States right now?
No.
No.
Not
So
at all.
you can just adapt and grow.
Doesn't
and fucking
matter
overcome.
what sign I hold up.
No.
Fucking-
Well, we could get a
shit.
good one there, you know.
Yeah.
I just want to bring up. I want to bring up. I know this is random, but I can't. The person's head, the face can't get out of my fucking head right now. But our new assistant secretary of health.
Oh yeah.
Fucking make sure that
What's-
you fucking
what's-
fed me.
So yeah. So, and I put that on my story last night, and I got a lot of. I can read some of the responses. They're not good. I got
Shocking.
because people interpreted it as I was being anti-trans or transphobic because it's a man who transitioned to a woman. He or she is a man who they. God damn it!
It's like describing a
I don't know
baby
what-
before they're born.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't want to call it it. But you
I think it's they. I think he is they. God fucking
They,
damn it.
he, she.
Anyway, this person was a male who is now a female, a transgender female. And I posted on my story saying, this is our assistant, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Secretary of Health.
Secretary, thank you very much. I got fucked up from all that trans stuff. And I was having all these people saying I was being transphobic, but all I was trying to show is like, they're very not healthy,
Yeah.
you know. And
They
and-
have 3 chins.
Exactly. And so one of the people who responded to me is one of my friends through First Forum, and she's from where she lives. And
Say what they identify as.
but I don't know if they prefer she or they.
She. I'm
But-
sure if it's a male that turned into a female, they want to
But
be a
you
she.
can't always assume that.
No.
Call it a they. Call
Right.
them they.
Call them a they.
They.
Call it a they. See, it's fucking hard, y'all. But
It's fucking hard, yo.
little South Carolina just came out. That happens when I panic. No, my friend was like, they were neighbors growing up, and she remembered watching him walk his dog, and then all of a sudden, it was her walking their dog just like randomly, and it's like, oh, what the fuck, like. And it happened way later in life. But anyway, it was just this funny little anecdote. Like this person grew up as their neighbor. But yeah, so our assistant secretary of health is, I mean, you know, I don't know. I haven't seen their blood panels, but they don't look very healthy. And it's just, you know, I think it was a move, much like Biden saying before he had chosen any individuals, he said that his vice president would be
a minority female.
a minority female. You know,
It's a PR move.
And it's purely racist.
Yeah.
That by definition is racist. And I don't care how you want to look at it. If you preclude other races for a position based off of immutable characteristics of race, that's racism. Anyway, it's the same thing. He chose this individual as a virtue signal to the world that he's so woke that he chose a transgender person to be his assistant secretary of health. All the while, this person looks like Jabba the Hutt with a wig on.
I literally
Yeah.
said when he showed me it last night, I was like, this is their plot to keep an
The secret plan.
Well, she
all-male
also-
government.
Yeah.
But now they're just
Yeah.
Fucking
Well,
crazy. Oh,
They also
sorry.
too the big thing is they're saying is that she pulled her mother out of a nursing home in like the middle of the night during COVID, and then put all the COVID positive people back in the nursing home. So she was responsible for like making terrible health decisions during this
same
pandemic.
shit Cuomo did, like sending all the.
Well, did you see Cuomo's like? What did he say? Were we talking about it the other day? I still need to work out so I can stay
yeah.
healthy.
That was
to
De Blasio.
De Blasio
Yeah.
to do
His
my
gym
job.
had to stay open because he needs to stay healthy,
Yeah.
but other gyms should be down.
So your health and your job's more important than all the other people that are sitting at home not doing shit. Get the fuck out of here.
That's so like textbook left elitist mindset. Like, did we talk about that on the podcast with Seth, or did we just talk about that?
I don't know, but that shit, I didn't know about that. So
Yeah.
whenever we talked about it, you told me. It's the first I heard of it. That is so wrong. That is so it's so wrong.
The thing is, he's so up his own ass. He didn't even realize how terrible what he just said was. You know, that's how he thinks. He's like, well, I need to stay healthy for my job. You know, it's fucking
But
awful.
everyone else doesn't.
Right.
Apparently. Millions of people.
Every human being, period. Like, you just said you're better than them, and you're more important than them.
And because you have the authority to make the decision. We're going down a rabbit hole. I'm getting fucking fired up.
right.
But anyway, so yeah, lots of stuff happening in the country right now, and just to go back.
I will say this. last piece on it.
Say it, Ty.
If the transition to Biden can bring us back together, as much as I love Trump, I'm for it because I'm sick. Because I know it's not. But if for some way that it can, I will be happy because I'm just sick of seeing everything all the time. I'm sick of having to question everything you post because you're going to come at by half the people. I'm sick of seeing the riot. I'm sick of all of it. Just want to go back to everyone being fucking happy and proud to be in America, the greatest country in the world. It's up for debate, obviously, right now. But
like again, like we were just talking about, and not to continue our rabbit hole, but we talk about like who's in charge and the masses, and it's the only way that America is going to continue to be the best country in the world is if the mass of Americans gets it back together, regardless of who's our fucking president.
Yeah.
Like, we have to stop.
No, right.
Just saying, some people needed a change, and like, if that change can do it, I'm willing to sacrifice that because I literally, not to sound like a freaking tool, I just want everyone to get back to like being happy, getting along, like whatever.
Concern yourself with your own life again.
Yeah,
I see so many people that are not concerned with their own life. Like, they're so caught up in what's happening in there and that shit, that they're not focusing on themselves, and I'm fucking guilty of it too. Like, I mean, shit, I'm posting signs about current issues and shit. Like,
I think that's more of a social media thing than a political thing.
But it all feeds together. Yeah, you know. But I did have a question for you about all of that. Like, how long do you think before President Kamala Harris? 90 days?
Yeah, I was gonna say under a year.
Under a year? Yeah.
I would say under a year.
I think we do see President Kamala Harris within the term.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the plan all the time. That dude can't do it. He's not fucking healthy for it. He's not fit for it.
The one debate they had, I was in South Carolina with Jay, Kim, and Michelina. We're sitting there watching it. I think he just fell asleep 5 times. And then when he pops back up and his eyes open back up, I'm just like, what just happened?
I mean, it is what it is.
You know what I just realized? Because
She's fucking pointing at me.
Watching that debate, you know how I always tell you that you do the air grab? You do the fucking Trump point and grab. I just realized that's what you do all the time.
I'll take that.
He does Tut literally does this air grab, and I remember always watching Trump in the debate. He always does this over and over again.
Oh, he does the two-hand thing all the time.
Trump does. Always air grabs and points.
What do you mean air grab?
I will call you out on it next time you do it. But you always like, we're going to do this. And
for those listening and not watching, Snoot is reaching out in front of herself and grabbing the air
and then pointing
Apparently
down.
I do that often.
If you've ever watched Trump on anything, you always know that over exaggerating point.
This one, we're going here. Yeah. We're going here.
Yeah. Tut literally, instead of the hands out, Tut does the double hand grab. We're going to go over
That's
here.
That's my
Rurik
Pharaoh impression.
That's Brandon, not Rurik.
Damn it.
I just realized that you fucking do that.
Well, now I'm going to be self-conscious about it. I'm going to talk in the staff meeting today with my hands between my fucking legs. All right, well, we got to wrap because we got this staff book.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. As always, it's a pleasure. And thank you, Seth Feroce, for having us.
Thank you, Seth. Got big people coming, too.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.